What's up, guys? It's Ace here. Today we're flying the F-16A Nets. This jet, a lot of people have mixed feelings on. Not just the Nets in specific, the F-16 in general. Ever since War Thunder and Gaijin added 4th generation jet fighters like the F-14 to the game, people have had a very hard time flying anything that's not flavor of the month. Well, the F-16 is neither the flavor of the month or a backseat player. In my opinion, it's probably the better jet out of all the ones they added recently. Now, can I say that from gameplay experience? No. Can I say that from how it's performing in battles? Yes. I'm flying it now without countermeasures. I don't know why it doesn't get countermeasures out the gate. It should. But that's a discussion for another time. If anything, the drop tank should be a researchable mod, and it should just come with chaff and flares. But, argument for another time. Now, the Israelis actually have a particular history involving the F-16 when it comes to military operations. Israel is probably the most notable operator of this jet, other than America, for the simple reason, and I'm sure many people who know about this airplane already know, for the incident involving the Iraqi reactor. Israeli Air Force sent multiple, that ended fast. Nice. Thank you, Vigan, for using radar-locked missiles in a head-on against a jet that just can't. Top tier is a crap show these days, guys. Let me tell you. It is not fun unless you have all the bells and whistles for your airplane unlocked. It is absolute torture. It's game after game after game without kills, making the absolute bare minimum token reward that the game will give you for dying. Anyway, topic for a different time. Israel in particular launched a bombing attack on an Iraqi nuclear reactor. I don't remember what decade this was. I think it was the 90s or early 2000s one, because other countries weren't doing anything to stop them from building it, and it posed an active danger to the Middle East. If Iraq had gotten access to nuclear power, everybody who's not an idiot knows they would have used it to create nuclear weapons because they have been unable to purchase them from outside sources like Russia or other nations. It's not hard to know why they would want to use a nuke. Iraq, Jordan, and Egypt have all been in constant military engagements between not just each other, but Israel in particular. And Israel has had to defend itself against all three on a semi-consistent basis since the 1950s. They launched a daring raid on the reactor and destroyed it. Now, they didn't just, hey, let's go bomb this. They tried every other method they could. They lobbied for sanctions in diplomatic circles, and in the non-diplomatic circles, they even did political assassination. There was dozens of Iraqi scientists and physicists that were murdered by Israeli assassins in the months leading up to the raid, as Israel desperately tried to do anything they could to quietly disrupt or stop the progress on the site. All other efforts failed, and so the jets flew out. Now, a particularly interesting note about that raid is that it was a distance beyond the F-16's normal range. So when the jets went in, they went in with, I don't know, I don't think they had the Vulcan on board, because weight. I think they only carried 2 missiles, less than half their normal complement of countermeasures, and just a lot of fuel. They went out with bombs and gas, and that was it. And they almost didn't take off because they were carrying so much fuel on board. I'm kind of interested to see what other jets Gaijin's going to add to Israel in the future. There are other things that we didn't get that I felt like they should have added before adding the F-14 to the game. Like, Israel probably should have gotten access to the Kurnas Phantom, which will probably come after the F-4E in the tree. Other variants, the Kafir, which would have been nice to see. Stuff like that, just in general. A lot of people are saying the next major update will probably add the F-15. I don't want to say that yet, because so far, from what Gaijin has been teasing, at least in the most recent event, the Winter Quest, they're gearing more towards naval in the upcoming updates. And USS Missouri and USS Wisconsin, Battleship Bismarck and Tirpitz, and Yamato and Musashi were all passed to developers in December. So there's a high chance that if the next major update is geared towards naval, we're going to be getting some new top-tier battleships. Certainly, at least for America, Germany, and Japan. I don't know about Russia. Russia never really had any big-name battleships beyond World War I. They just didn't do it. World War II came around and they just utilized refitted dreadnoughts, mostly. So, that story aside, I hope next major update is naval-based. If it's not, and they do add the F-15, sorry to all you America lovers out there, but Israel will probably be the first nation to gain access to the jet, and not America. The reason being is because Israel, in particular, has specific historical significance to that airframe, as the F-15's first ever aerial victories were scored under the Israeli Air Force. Yes, that's right. Israeli F-15s were the first to gain air kill credits for that jet. Not American forces, which is surprising. It's not often that a foreign nation garners our military's firsts, but it happens sometimes, and in that case, it was for Israel with the F-15. Now, am I saying America won't get access to it? No. America will almost assuredly get access to the F-15 very shortly after, if not at the same time Israel does, like how they did with the F-16. Israel should have probably gotten F-14 as well this patch, because they did fly F-14As. Granted, not very long, but they did have them at one point. So, yeah. I think Israel should have gotten an F-14 alongside its F-16, and they probably should have added the Kurnas, and there's some other jets they could have added into the game as well. Look at this huge gap in the bomber line to the Nesher, you know, stuff like that. There's just planes missing. When it comes to naval in specific, I look forward to things like Missouri. I actively encourage it. Because it's not like the Iowa class ships are unmatched in naval ability. They had competitors, like I said, the Yamato class ships from Japan were actively larger with much bigger guns, and technically the Yamato class ships were better. Well, I can't really say for sure. Those two ships, the Yamato class and the Iowa class, they never fought head to head. Came close a few times during the war, just never happened. Bismarck and Tirpitz would definitely be interesting to see. I'm sure a lot of people would go absolutely nuts for those ships. But as it stands, even now, seeing something like an Arizona or an Alaska is still kind of uncommon around 6.3 and higher, because not enough people are playing the naval game mode to have stuff that high. So you see a pretty, how do you say, predictable roster of ships around 6.3. You see things like 5.7 New Orleans, you see Wyoming, yes, and you see Brooklyn, you see Pittsburgh, you see Dakota sometimes, don't see Arizona very often, you see Fargo, I see a Pensacola, in the Northampton, and the Cleveland. I don't see Atlanta very often, which is interesting, and of course the Helena is probably the most common thing I see on both sides. And I can't really say for other nations. I see this one Russian cruiser in particular a lot, but it's pretty lightweight. And dies pretty fast. Very sorry, guys. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope to see you guys another time. Peace.